Welcome back to OneTake tonight. He's Reese, I'm Dan. Producer Reese, how we feeling?
Feeling great, Dan.
We got a great show. We got hot takes for the brand, but first up, a very special guest. We have a tech founder, entrepreneur, the author of CoFounder AI and executive director at Google X, CJ Six-Pack himself, Mr. Clarence Wooten.
Hey, look good. First off, and it's good to see
Clarence, good to be with you, man.
It's good to see you.
We've been trying to get you for a few weeks now, and excited to have you. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. CJ Six-Pack, I love it. I love it. That's my new nickname. I wasn't expecting you to share it like that, but that's what happens when you get in shape.
We're talking a little shop just before this, and I had to throw it in there. So I mean, we could do another intro if you wanted to. Keep that one in house.
I can think of worse nicknames.
CoFounder AI, that's your latest project. You've worked on a number of different projects over the years in your incredible career in the tech world. Curious what inspired you to found a new company and even write a book about it, something that is on the required reading list at OneTake Media for myself and for producer Reese.
Well, I mean, CoFounder AI is really not a company, at least not yet. It's an offshoot of the book that I wrote, CoFounder, under the same title, CoFounder AI. It really came about because, I've been a tech entrepreneur, as you know, for many years. And over the years, people have asked me, what's your process? Because I'm not a traditional tech founder. I don't write code, but I've always built software companies because I've been focused on design, UI, UX, and product. And, so I've always had a process, but I didn't want to write a book about how to do a startup. There's so many books out there about how to build a startup. But when generative AI, when ChatGPT had its moment in late 2022 and Bard, now Gemini at Google, and others, it was clear that this was really a pivotal moment in how startups should be built. The lean startup did a good job in the 2010s, but now it's really time for CoFounder AI, which is a book about how to build a startup, but how to leverage AI to build it 10 times faster and 10 times cheaper so that ideally you don't really need to raise venture capital. You can actually get the product market fit without having to raise VC money and then wait till the VCs chase you by leveraging AI. So small teams and individual solo founders can punch way higher than their weight class by leveraging these tools, prompts, workflows, agents. And we aggregate them all on the online platform at CoFounder AI. It didn't make sense to put that in the book because it changes so rapidly.
That's a fascinating reference point. You mentioned the lean startup methodology. That's kind of like when I first moved out to Northern California almost 10 years ago, that was the Bible, if you will, for the founder tech experience. And you think that CoFounder is that kind of next generation, that next iteration of what founders and anyone in tech needs to be able to scale up their own company?
Well, the market will decide if that's the case, but that's what I think. For example, a lean startup talks about MVPs. What I talk about in my book is MLPs, minimal lovable products. Minimal viable is no longer good enough in today's ecosystem with so many products. Users have to really love what you built. And so, again, small things have changed, but the biggest change has been the impact of AI and how to leverage it throughout the entire startup building process.
Like any industry, there's going to be a lot of, you see a lot of, after 2022, so many .AIs, a lot of new noise in the space, new folks raising money more and more on LinkedIn. How do you go about ignoring some of the stuff that ends up just being noise and some of the stuff that's going to really have that staying power long term in the market when you see companies, when you're evaluating companies? I know that's some of the work that you do without getting into the details at your day job at Google X. How do you look at different companies and say, oh, this one's a winner, this one might be a winner in the near term, but long term probably not going to have that much of a use case or have that longevity?
Yeah, when I'm evaluating companies, I'm looking at them from a personal perspective because Google X, we don't really we don't acquire companies. We don't invest in companies. That's Google Ventures. We actually build moonshots internally. We're more of a venture studio for Alphabet. We create companies such as Waymo and spin them out. So it's a whole different approach. But in terms of deciding what's noise and what's real, oftentimes I like to be hands-on. I like to try out the product. And, I
Yeah.
can tell pretty quickly, at least I believe I can, if this is the real deal or not. And if you look at some of the revenue ramps on some of these AI companies, they've done some, interesting things to excite users, to get users to subscribe. So basically, SaaS, is a pervasive business model, but when you throw AI onto a SaaS product, particularly something magical like Cursor for vibe coding or Bolt.new and some of these tools, people will pay quickly. So, I think we're at a pivotal moment for entrepreneurs and founders, particularly those leveraging AI, not just to build a company, but maybe leveraging AI to create an AI company along a certain vertical. There's still great opportunities, and we're seeing that in the marketplace. But of course, there's some things that won't be around in a year. But it's also a lot of things that will be around, and they'll become much, much bigger companies. I mean, look at OpenAI. It's already very similar to any of the massive tech companies that we all know and love.
That's fascinating to look at the kind of the snapshot of the now, but you're someone who has, when it comes to the world of tech, such a breadth of experience going out. And again, I don't want to date you too much here, but going into the late 90s, having early success when you were just a young gun. What was that experience like for you selling Image Cafe in the late 90s and then being involved in the tech world in the last almost 25, 30 years? What was that experience like when you first got started? And then what would you say to that 20-something entrepreneur as your older self here in the year 2025?
Yeah, I kind of grew up with the internet industry. I mean, I came out of college right at the time Netscape went public. And that created a whole initial .com explosion. So, I made the decision coming out of undergrad that, I was going to try to build a career by leveraging this huge movement at the time called the internet. And fortunately, I was able to do Image Cafe, which back then everyone's challenge was how to get a website, how to get a nice looking website without spending a lot of money. Today we have Wix, we have Squarespace, WordPress templates. Back then we had nothing. So Image Cafe really pioneered that space. And we were fortunate enough to be acquired by Network Solutions, who back then also had a monopoly on domain names. So that was pre-GoDaddy. It was literally the only place you could get a domain name. And what they wanted to be able to do is instantly sell you a website. And we turned that process into a shopping e-commerce-like experience. So back then it was really novel, and but now it's not so novel. So because I've seen the different waves, the Web 1.0, the Web 2.0,
right,
I pretty much built an internet company doing each one of those waves. So in the Web 2.0 wave, there was Progressly, which was Pinterest for processes that was acquired by Box in 2018. And now we're in another one of these waves with AI, and I think this is going to be the biggest one. And so I think it's an exciting time to be an entrepreneur. It's also an exciting time for me to do the work that I'm doing inside of Alphabet, inside of Google X, that relate to AI.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you've seen it all. Have there been any trends or kind of concepts that you thought would take off in maybe earlier in the 2000s or middle 2000s that didn't end up coming to fruition, or vice versa? Has there been anything that kind of like took off and surprised you? I'm thinking there's the buzzy terms, there's crypto and now of course AI and what have you.
I would say crypto in 2017. Because that was the moment where
I was there with you for a lot of it, man. That was some interesting times.
I would say that looked like it was going to take off, but then I guess it was so scary to nation states and you name it. There was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and it really crashed crypto. Now crypto crashes every 3 years. It's just part of the norm. But I thought crypto and blockchain specifically would have taken off faster than it has. But I do still believe that that's legit technology, and it has a lot of potential, and it will take off. And in some cases, it has taken off for some, but just not across the board quite yet.
There's in the lean startup methodology. There's that kind of idea of the trough, right? There's the initial buzz, and then a bit of a dip, and then the actual value kind of getting created over time. Producer Reese, you might have to clip in a little pic of the trough there, give folks a
Trough
graph.
of disillusionment, yeah.
Trough of disillusionment, man. Yeah, where do you see maybe AI right now in that? Do you think it's still in that buzzy area, or is it maybe going down and then coming back up? Because you think of things like driverless cars, that was that didn't necessarily, that took a little bit longer than you might have thought, going back to maybe 2015 or 2014 when you started to hear about the potential there. And then at some point it was, Elon started to talk about, it's a little bit harder than we think. And the next thing you know, like Waymo is just showing up on the San Francisco streets one day, and it's like, oh, actually, no, they kind of figured it out. So I'm curious, a number of different routes you go with that one, Clarence.
Something that takes a very long time, difficult tech, and Alphabet's in a unique position to be able to, spend money to develop and bring moonshots to fruition like Waymo. I think the original question was.
The original question was just around where AI would potentially be in that trough right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it depends on the use case, right? So it's still mind blowing across the board. So I'm not really seeing a trough of disillusionment. I think a lot of people are concerned about things like hallucinations and can it really be used in a mission critical way inside the enterprise? But those problems are being solved with things like RAG and a number of other things. And of course, the process of these AI models, in fact, the fact that they can do deep research and think and reason, and it's not just zero shot prompting. And now you have AI agents and MCP, which is, Model Context Protocol, and Google's version of that, A2A for agents. And so, I think you look at it on a per use case basis, but most of it's still pretty mind blowing. So, I think, you might look at a company that you thought was going to be impressive and took off, and it turns out that was just a feature because one of the foundational model companies might integrate that exact same thing, and now they're gone. And so you'll see some of that, but overall, it's an incredible tech. I've never seen anything like it.
Pretty wild stuff. I got one more question that I'm going to throw to our producer, Reese. I'm curious, one of the big changes that we've seen as well, at least since I've been out here in Northern California, is now the investment in the hardware space. You've specialized in software during your career. Curious if you had any additional thoughts on the hardware space, because I see that as very interesting, especially in like the northern San Jose area when it comes to the humanoid robotics and things of that nature.
Yeah, well, when you talk about robotics, now that we have these multimodal models that can see, hear, identify, you name it. I mean, look at Gemini and ChatGPT, they're all multimodal. That is really accelerating robotics like never before. So, I mean, I absolutely believe that we're going to start seeing robots everywhere in the next, 2, 3, 4 years. Robots at home for housekeeping, you name it. I mean, if you look at some of the YouTube videos on how far they've advanced, at least even in terms of how the robots move, and all of that's really driven by the advances in these multimodal AI models. So Star Wars is coming, and it's coming really, really quick.
It's coming quick, Producer Reese. I believe you had a question for Mr. Wooten?
I had a couple for you, Mr. Wooten, yeah. You've had remarkable success in the tech industry this past decade or so. I was just wondering, what qualities about yourself would you attribute most of that success to? Is it your creativity, your foresight, or your work ethic? Talk to me a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, well, first off, I think I'm pretty prolific. Dan will tell you that. For everything that you've heard about, that turned out to a success, there were probably 3 things that I tried that wasn't successful. But I failed fast and I failed cheap, right?
I've heard that before.
And as a result, I was able to get back up and, start a new business. And I didn't lose a lot of investor money in the process because, one, I've always had to bootstrap. And that was one of the things that really excited me about generative AI because I believe it's the ultimate bootstrapping tool. But, I also think if I were to break it down to characteristics, I think there's a couple of things that all founders should have. They should be passionate about their idea because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. They have to be focused because it's so easy to be distracted by shiny objects, particularly now that it appears to be easy to build AI companies, but appears. That's the key word. They have to be persistent, because persistence will overcome a lot of things, whether you're passionate or focused. If you're persistent, you can go a long way. And last but not least, you have to be lucky. But you create a lot of your own luck, because luck is when opportunity meets preparation. And a lot of it boils down to market timing. Do you have the right idea at the right time? If you do, then boom, you may experience that cursor type, that growth.
Thank you for sharing, Clarence. Yeah, those are really interesting points. Yeah.
We talk about fail fast here every once in a while at OneTake Media Producer. So definitely learned that one from Clarence when I first moved out here. Fail fast.
There were a couple of similarities in his philosophy that I recognized from what Dan has told me over the years. So I was like, okay, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Clarence is definitely better at executing than I am, but the fail fast, and I think just the creativity in building, right? Just the ability to say, hey, I have an idea, let's put it out there and see what happens, instead of just the planning. I think that young founders or just folks who want to do anything creative in general can get bogged down and, hey, I'm going to make this perfect plan, and everything's better in your head, right? Until you actually put pen to paper or whatever it is. You want to write something, you want to make a video, you want to do interviews, you want to get in media. Like that's where good ideas or good potential goes to die in a lot of ways.
And I agree. And a lot of it, a lot of people have trouble finding good ideas. My problem is not that. I see ideas all the time. I'm not sure if it's because I'm a design thinker with my architecture background, who knows? But, I come up with great ideas. My problem is not doing them all, staying focused on one and getting it to, that point where it hopefully gets escape velocity, and it's way more than just me. And so, I think that's a challenge as well. Having the right idea and being able to execute on it. But yeah, ideas have never been a challenge for me.
Reese, I want to jump in. I got one more question for Clarence, then you can do your last one. I'm curious how you think about education now, Clarence, because you're, if I'm not mistaken, involved in a number of different universities and higher education in general back in your home state of Maryland, and I think in Southern California as well. How would you frame the problem of education to the younger generation now when it comes to AI being able to just compute facts and knowledge so much more effectively than humans can, but at the same time, obviously humans need to be doing something, focus on something for the future? How do you think about that problem?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because in promoting the book, I've been giving talks at various universities. And at the university level, as it relates to AI, I think, one, everybody should be aware that they need to 10x themselves. Because when you go into the workforce, you're gonna be expected to do 10 times more. And so if you haven't 10x'd yourself by leveraging AI tools and frameworks, and products that relate to your discipline, then you'll probably end up losing your job to somebody who will. So as that relates to education, I believe universities should not worry about students using AI, but they should make the work that they give 10 times harder, or 10 times more work, because AI can crank out papers, it can do so much. And so the output should be expected to be 10 times larger, right? So just 10x the workload, but let them use AI to do it. And I think it's really important that students use AI as their editor, not necessarily their writer, because otherwise you end up with every student in the class with very similar output.
Really good point. That goes down a whole other rabbit hole, but I know your time is valuable here, Clarence. I think you had one more question there, producer Reese.
I did, yeah. Clarence, you look like a very strong guy. You look like you could dominate a lot of people in an arm wrestle. I was curious, just off the top, random question. Do you have any interesting arm wrestling stories from your past? Again, unrelated to any situation here.
When I met Dan, he was working for a good buddy of mine, another entrepreneur, a guy named Tom O'Malley, and for some reason he's the skinny guy who always wanted to arm wrestle, and I don't lose arm wrestling matches, but I will say this: Dan caught me on a day that I think I had tweaked my shoulder. And so it was a Mexican standoff. It was a Mexican standoff for quite some time. But finally I had to let it go because he wasn't good to his elders. So I let him have it. And but I am coming back for my revenge, Dan, at some point.
I'd love to see that.
At some point, there will be a day that the whole
guns,
squad,
man.
CJ Sixpack, man, come
gun
on,
show,
now,
baby.
we know
The
it.
gun show, bro.
We know
Yeah.
it. I was saying it before. I mean, I met Clarence when I was like 22, 23. I've aged about 10 years in that time, and he's aged backwards about 10 years in that time. So
I see that. Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing down in SoCal, but he's doing something right, man. At some point, there will be a reunion of the old Palo Alto crew down the road. I had 3 rapid fire questions for you here, and then we'll get you moving here, Clarence.
All right.
I know you're a basketball fan. If you're starting an NBA franchise right now, we're heading into the playoffs here, or well into the playoffs with the conference finals starting this week. Who's the first player you're drafting?
Okay, that's on an existing team today.
Yes, the league is completely new. Number 1 guy.
This is going to be, oddly enough, it might be Nikola Jokic. Only because there's nothing flashy about his game, but he does so much, makes everybody better. Yeah, and there's a lot of great players, but when you look at how he stuffs the stat sheet, he might be my guy.
His body of work is tough to compete with. Yeah, stylistically, it's pretty wild what he's able to do. It looks like he's playing men's league out there. It's
now,
kinda
he's
wild.
not going to, you don't have to get your popcorn ready when you watch him, because he's not going to do the stuff that Anthony Edwards and Giannis will do and serve up facials on people. But in terms of, what he brings to a team, it might be Nikola Jokic. Now, if Steph Curry was 10 years younger, I would absolutely say Steph Curry, only because I think he's changed the entire game.
Oh, yeah. Same thing for a league that has burgeoned and made a ton of momentum in the last couple of years, the WNBA. If you were to start your GM Clarence has first overall pick in the league, who's he liking?
Asia Wilson.
Easy answer. She's a
Super
problem.
easy.
And last one for rapid fire. Do you still get crabs flown out from Maryland to where you stay now in Southern California? That was a legendary story from back in the day.
Oh my gosh, I love my crabs. Know what I've been doing more? I just been going back to Maryland more and enjoying crabs there. But yeah, it's nothing like having a bushel of Maryland crabs. Man, oh my gosh.
We gotta hook Clarence up with Will Sandy.
What's that?
Our boy Will Sandy, he's a crabber, he's a fisherman out in the bay, but he's a young gun, younger than me. He's like 17 or 18, Dan.
Northern California has a good crabbing scene, but producer Reese, I know you haven't been down to Maryland.
Those Dungeness crabs are garbage. That is not a crab. That is not a crab. Don't get me wrong. They're no. You need blue crabs.
Blue crabs.
The ones you get out of the Chesapeake Bay or down in Louisiana. Those are the crabs. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Putting me on game here. Yeah. I'll have to try one.
These California guys don't know, Clarence. I'm from Massachusetts. We take our lobster pretty seriously up there. Maryland is like, if you haven't had, you haven't been to the barbecue or the party with the newspaper out and about
Old
and
Bay,
everyone's.
yes.
You got to have the newspaper in the Old Bay. Then that's authentic Maryland. So
Yes.
Clarence knows crabs amongst a million other things. Clarence, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much for joining. Everyone check out CoFounder AI, new book out now. Producer Reese, required reading for you. Clarence Wooten, thanks again, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate you.
Hot takes, Producer Reese, what do we got?
Dan, Preakness 2025, what a race, what an event. You were blowing up the general chat in Discord this weekend. Inquiry. Tell me about that. What happened? What went down?
Might have to screenshot that. That was one of the funnest races I've ever watched in my entire life. Last race ever at Old Pimlico. We just chatted with our boy Clarence, Maryland guy. That's kind of a Maryland staple. The run at the end from journalism was the most insane finish I've ever seen to a horse race.
Here's Sandman on the outside trying to run on. Journalism has recovered. Journalism has recovered and is coming. Journalism is sensational run.
And the hardos in the group chat, the TIs of the world, are like, Dan, you don't even watch horse racing. You just watch the big three, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But like I've watched, the Derby, Preakness, and Belmont Stakes for the last 15 years.
Yes.
That finish from journalism, might have to clip it in. Just unbelievable down the stretch. I mean, the horse was in like 6th. My pick was goal-oriented. It was in a great spot.
Yeah.
Most of the beginning of the race just lurking. And then there was that potential inquiry. I think there was an inquiry, but it ended up being okayed by the officials, and journalism ended up getting the win by a nose.
So what
Pretty unbelievable finish.
exactly was the inquiry, though? What had transpired?
Coming down the stretch, there was some contact and elbows between the caddies of goal-oriented. I think it was Flavian Pratt, and then journalism. I can't remember the caddy off the top of my head. And then after that, journalism took all the momentum and won the damn race. So
what a comeback from journalism.
1 mile and 3/16. I think it was still well under 2 minutes, maybe 1:58.
Yeah.
Which is relatively, that's like kind of middle of the pack speed wise.
Okay.
Like 1:54, I think was the fastest Preakness in maybe the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
California Chrome 2014, that was a great race.
Might have to fact check
Then
that one.
they had the 2015 and 2018 Triple Crown runs from American Pharoah.
Yeah.
And who was the other one there? Producer Reese, 2018 one. Off the top of my head, can't think of it. But pretty electric overall. It was a great race. The Preakness is awesome. I big fan of the Preakness because of the fact that it's like, you never know. That's like the pivotal one.
Yeah.
If it's going to be a Triple Crown year, which is
And then the
obviously
last
quite
event
rare.
would be the Derby, right? Is that the one that happens in June?
No, the Derby's the first. The Derby's that's the first weekend of May.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
The return
So,
of the
you better-
WNBA season. What can we expect here going into?
Justify 2018 hand up. I got to be better there. Justify.
Yeah.
Great horse. The Valkyries, man. Valkyries kicked off on Friday night. Good electricity here in the city of San Francisco. The only player I know is Kate Martin. She's one of Caitlin Clark's right-hand women on University of Iowa.
Yeah.
So she's here. Will it be a little bit of a slog for the Valkyries? Probably. Any expansion team, they're trying to get their feet under them, but good energy.
Yeah.
And
You had a hot take
Happy
about
for
the
ladies.
Valkyries last year when they were formed last year. Was it 2024?
They were announced last year, and this is their first actual season in competition. So the WNBA season starts in the summer. So started just last week. They're playing at Chase Center.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Good for the league. I mean, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese going at it.
Yeah.
Opening Saturday.
Yeah, that's got to be.
It's good for the game. Good for the brand. I mean, these gals are going hard. Caitlin Clark, unbelievable. She had a triple-double.
Love to see it.
Just all-time talent. We'll see if Indiana Fever can make some moves here and take that next step in their journey. But I'm a Valkyries guy. Go Valkyries. Obviously, big Caitlin Clark fan as well. But good start to the season.
The Belichick interview with Ryan Clark. I didn't see
Awesome.
it. What happened?
It was awesome. It validated everything I was saying to these dumb dummies out there. Belichick put to bed so much of
all the
this
noise,
innuendo and rumors, especially with Jordan Hudson, how much of an asset she is, how creative she is, and how much she helped him with his book.
Yeah, that's what I do as I stay focused on football and some of the other opportunities that come along. Jordan looks at those and can dig into them a little bit deeper. But really, what she does helps me spend my time on football, and that's what's important to me.
What exactly did he clarify? That
She was basically copied on one email to help Belichick with his logistics and with the media realm. Belichick, like I said from the start, all these dumb dummies. Belichick wants to focus on football, but he does have other creative endeavors. He wants to write, he wants to do media things, but he needs someone to help him organize that. And that's exactly the role that Jordan Hudson's been playing for him.
Okay.
So
she sounds very valuable,
a personal relationship, but also a trusted confidant to Bill.
Yeah.
And these dumb dummies just don't get it. And they're smearing her name, and I don't like it, producer Reese. They're smearing Belichick. And Belichick will get his revenge.
Okay. All right. I like that enthusiasm, Dan. Yeah.
I love UNC football this year.
Yeah.
Bet the over on all UNC games.
Celtics lost. Was that this weekend? Tell me about that, Dan.
Celtics lost. That was sad.
Yeah. Would they
Too many injuries. Lost. And the Knicks had some juice, too. I mean, credit to the Knicks. They had some juice. Not as much productivity from Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday this playoff run. Celtics kind of not coasted, but I mean, just repeating it at any level is incredibly difficult. Never mind the National Basketball Association.
Are the Celtics going to make it to the finals, or how does that work? What's going on in the world of
Producer
basketball?
Reese, we got to be better there, buddy. We just got to be better. We got to know some basics.
Yeah.
We got to know some basics about how sports work. No, they're not going to be in the finals. They got eliminated.
Oh, okay.
Eliminated from the playoffs.
From
in the second round.
Okay, sad.
We got to be better.
Yeah, we do.
The Celtics got to be better. OneTake media team's got to be better.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, the Celtics were dominating the series.
Okay.
Couldn't finish the first two games.
Sad. Yeah. Maybe.
And the Knicks kind of had to take advantage of a broken down, injured Celtics team that played well into June last year. And that took its toll, as it will.
Maybe next year. Yeah.
So
PGA Championship, last one on the list here. Tell me about that, Dan.
Did I put that on the list? I got nothing on the PGA Championship. I don't know why that's on the list, man.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Maybe that's what the story is. I got no juice
yeah.
on the PGA title.
Well,
Since they changed up the schedule PGA wise at I think it was 2019-ish.
what
PGA Championship used to be played in August. I liked it better when it was played in August. I think it made a little bit. It didn't make as much sense schedule wise, but my brain still 6-7 years later has not computed to the fact that it's played in May. So I like the 2021 PGA Championship when Phil was going at it with Brooks Koepka. The people were getting hyped. It was kind of post-COVID-y era, and I also couldn't walk at the time. It was May of 2021. I was getting hyped watching that.
Remember that one? Yeah.
Real OGs remember that one, man. And that was a good PGA Championship, but it just doesn't have the same breadth, the same history, majors-wise as the Masters of the U.S. Open or the British. But
Okay. Yeah.
it'll get there.
Yeah.
It'll get there.
That's all I got. Hot takes.
Let's go with For the Brand. For the Brand, producer Reese, what do we got?
San Francisco driving warnings. You have a story there, Dan. What do you got there? Show me that. Tell me what that is.
Zoom in, producer Reese, zoom in. This is chaos. This is bananas.
What's going on, man?
San Francisco is waging war on its citizens, and I don't like it. And I will fight for it, man. I mean, they're sending out these driving warnings. They're putting up cameras all around the city.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating. It's sneaky demoralizing. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I get the counter argument that I'm sure there are traffic deaths, what have you. People shouldn't drive super fast, but at the same time, when you just feel like every time you're in your driving is a sacred. It's a sacred process.
Yeah.
It's a sacred protocol. It's the ultimate sign of freedom, almost.
Yeah.
And to have that infringed upon, and you feel like everyone's taking pictures of you the whole time.
Yeah.
These newer cars are tracking every single
1984.
move you make, every single mile.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd. I don't like it. We just had Clarence on. He's a tech guy. I like to be tech when it comes to the B2B stuff, but some of the business to consumer stuff,
Yeah.
I can't say I'm the biggest fan.
It sounds like the city of San Francisco, is out for you right now. First we had the parking fiasco, of the going on last year, and now this. So what are you? What are
The
you
towing company cars. I thought Lori and I were buddies. I thought when he was going to come in, that these issues would stop. But Lori is still.
Yeah.
To be fair, these are only warnings. He's not sending me tickets in the mail.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I don't know. I've the company car may be in our infamous Dolores Hillbaum video, of which the former mayor may not have been a fan, may have been a fan. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still not. London
think,
Burrito would love
me,
to have you on the program. I'd love to have London on the program. I shouldn't say just London. I should say Madam Mayor would love to have her on the program, of course. And was my license plate in that video? I think it was. So
It might have
San Francisco might have had it out for me ever since then.
Yeah. I think your car has been targeted. Yeah. Beta Breakers 2025. What went down? Give me the lay of the land. What happened?
I love San Francisco, and Beta Breakers this weekend was a good example of what makes the city awesome and special. And I was glad to have put it in my back pocket. Sneaky dominated it. I couldn't run for about 3 years from 2021 to 2024, so I've only been able to really run the last year.
Did Ali G make an appearance? Is my question.
Ali G actually did not make an appearance.
No appearance. Okay.
I woke up on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And Ali said, "For real, we ain't going out here.
Yeah.
Respect." But I ran it with my sister, and it was actually a blast.
Oh, that's dope.
I did sneaky better than I thought it would.
Okay.
I don't think you would have survived a producer Reese. You think you would have survived? I think you maybe would have lasted a mile and change.
Fuck no, man. I hate running. My cardio is not great. Ironically.
Yeah, but you got you're a little muscle hamster, and you think
Yeah.
you think you're a big dog until someone gets you into deep waters, and then you gas out.
I redline, dude.
You gas out.
Yeah. Not great. I gotta.
That's what would happen when you and T.I. wrestle. You'd probably gas out because you don't have the years.
It's very likely that would happen. Yeah, no, like he has endurance on me, you know.
T.I.'s an old guy, you know, he's not out of shape, but he's not exactly yoked up
right
these days. You know, I'm sure he was when he was a youngster back in SF State.
Yeah.
Dominating with his long goofy arms and his taller frame.
He had to be like 25, 30 pounds lighter back then too, in prime T.I. wrestling days. Yeah.
T.I.'s a problem.
He's a problem.
Shout out T.I. Hey, let's go to that one. Congrats to T.I. on his tour championship performance. Berkeley Country Club. I hear he did a good job. He didn't win this year, but I want to shout out to our guy. I think producer Reese, the fact that you didn't caddy for him in your OneTake bib may have been a factor that he didn't win. Your thoughts?
This is very true, actually. The only way to find out is to be able to caddy for him next year and see if that makes a difference. But, before then, we might have the OneTake open. So, I don't know. I could be caddying for you first. And my caddy experience does not go that far. So, I think, is the caddy responsible for giving you, like, the right, what do you call it? The right, like, drivers and stuff? The right, like...
right, yardage... I mean, there's different levels to caddying.
Yeah.
8th grade Dan at Charles River Country Club in
Yeah.
Newton, Massachusetts would know the different
Okay.
grades of caddy. There's A caddy, B caddy, C caddy, and then there's
I didn't know there
what
was...
producer Reese would be.
There was levels
Producer
to
Reese
this.
would be like there's levels to this caddy game, man.
Bro,
So
okay.
you'd probably be down with the C caddies making $20 a 4 rounds, and maybe you get a tip on top of it. Maybe you get a Coca-Cola in the clubhouse.
Maybe an apple juice. Yeah. That would fit me better. Yeah.
Yeah, in theory, you should know the yardages and clubs and whatnot, but I just want the visual. I mean, this brings back the OneTake project. Is it particularly fruitful? No, but just the idea of producer Reese as like a jockey or producer Reese like in that OneTake full onesie suit.
Yeah.
Just that, that laugh I would get from that would bring me so much. Like that's like a laugh you can't manufacture.
Yeah,
right?
No, yeah, let's just go there then. Yeah, like I think like content-wise, moving forward.
But we got to earn it. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
that's you got to earn a laugh like that. Like that would just, I would laugh for about a week
Okay.
if producer Reese was caddying for T.I.
Yeah.
and was wearing like a master style
OneTake.
white full suit.
OneTake get up. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you get up. Oh man, that'd be good.
Characters with character
That'd be good.
is how Dan hires, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
I try, man. I try, buddy.
Bottlerock this weekend, dead. We couldn't get our in from our guy.
Yeah, we didn't get our boy. Yeah, we didn't make it happen with our boy Tom. Shout out Tom. He's busy.
Yeah.
He's a big dog.
Busy guy. Yeah.
It'll be a great festival, I'm sure.
Yeah. The
Your
lineup
boy
for
Hoppo
Friday.
will do an awesome job.
Friday lineup was probably gonna be a banger, but it's all right. It's all right. Get the next one.
I like Friday. May not be able to make it this year. I mean, I'm still down if Tom wants to say, "Hey Dan, show up last minute."
Yeah.
I'm happy to show up.
Hey,
Producer
I'm
Reese,
on
he's
standby,
happy.
dude.
He'd probably show up. I'm on standby for Friday.
I'm on standby for Friday too, brother.
In case
Yeah.
In case you see it.
Yeah.
Mr. Ewan,
Yeah.
in case you see it,
Yeah.
friends of the program,
Uh-huh.
we are ready to go for Friday if you need it. If you need some hard-hitting journalism, if you need some of
Yeah.
the most pointed questions in all the Bay Area,
Mm-hmm.
and also some promotion, we are on standby.
On standby, bro. I'm sending.
Moment's notice, we're there. I'm driving up to Napa.
I'm sending it straight to Napa, bro. Yeah, it's gonna be a banger. Yeah.
We haven't put out any content in a long time, but
Yeah.
we've been doing this.
Yeah, let's talk about that content. Reels. It's probably been about 6 months since we dropped our last reel. What's in the pipeline for?
Just working, man.
It's working.
Just working.
Yeah.
Working on the comeback. We still got to put out the Coach Ross reel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like we're doing nothing over here, man. I mean, we got stuff in the pipeline. I think there's just like a lot of people who don't see like what's going in, what the type of work that's going into here. You know what I mean? Like this is.
OneTake tonight's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
think the 4 or 5 episodes we've done is good. We'll
I look
continue
forward
that.
to it. Really. Yeah.
I like dude, I was mentioning Coach Belichick earlier. I might be playing for him this coming season after he sees some of the throws I was making a couple weeks ago.
Could be in the cards, bro. Yeah.
I was looking all right. I watched the tape back and I was sneaky surprised. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
didn't look bad.
Yeah.
31-32.
Are we like Danny Dial's comeback? Like what's happening? Like, Coach Ross
Didn't look bad. Didn't look bad there.
Coach Ross said you looked all right that day. He said you looked better than you did back in the summer. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We might have to.
If you're a college coach, you want a guy who has his frontal lobe fully developed and understands the why and understands how to be part of a program, how to be part of a team, how to lead, how to call a darn play, how to adjust at the line of scrimmage, how to build, or do you want some punk 20-year-old like producer Reese come in and just demand more NIL money? What do you want, coach? It's up to you. It's up to you. I can't answer that question for you, but that would be my pitch to Coach Savell, Coach Belichick.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
We'll see, man.
Clarence interview, last one on the list here. Is producer Reese have a book report to do?
I think you have a book. You may have a book report.
I might have one. I might have to do a 3 or 4 page essay on my thoughts on. Was it CoFound 21? Is that what it's called?
Co-founder AI. Yeah,
AI.
Clarence is a beast, man. He's I haven't talked with him in a while, but he reminded everyone why he's a big dog today.
He looked like a G, man. He came in there taking up half the screen with his muscles, man. Yeah. He's a G.
Yeah, appreciate it, Clarence. All right, that's all we got. We'll catch you on the next episode.